Hello everyone and welcome back to ESA Winter 2021. We are raising money for Alzheimer Funding and you can find all the links to donate below the stream. We really would like to thank also our sponsors, which would include Koei Tecmo Europe and specifically with the new gaming release Neo 2 the Complete Edition, Twitch and ViewSonic for sponsoring ESA, so thank you very much. Now, just before we move on to this upcoming Sheepo run, we actually do have a couple donations that we got, including a $50 donation from Bumblebee B2 saying a huge thanks to everyone involved setting up such a great event. So thank you so much for your donation. And finally, a $50 donation from 55s without a comment. So thank you everyone. We're getting closer and closer to $16K. So let's get it. Now, take it over.
Okay, awesome. Welcome everyone. My name is Trojan Dude and I'm here with CutierooSR and she is going to be running Sheepo with the all bosses category. So without further ado, if we can get a countdown to start, we can
go.
All right. So welcome to the world of Sheepo. Sheepo is a 2D Metroidvania style platformer game that was developed by one person, Kyle Thompson, with help from his brother to make the music. So as we start here, we have come to the planet of Sebron, where we came here on our spaceship that we're doing the little tutorial. And we are going to be saving the different species on this planet, kind of in a Noah's Ark type of sense. And we're going to be collecting eggs as we go on to save those species. So right here off the bat, we are getting the first of the currency in this game, which are feathers. And in the all bosses category, we have to get 45 of these feathers. 35 of those will allow us to get to a necessary late game zone, and then 10 additional feathers on top of that to access the final boss area of the run. So already right now you can see these little white orbs that Rue is using to platform, and these orbs are launchers that give you a bunch of horizontal momentum, and we're going to be using that very often throughout the run. And the other thing that you'll see throughout the whole run as well, the puzzles in different rooms, are these blue orbs. They're essentially like the keys that will allow you to open the doors. And there's also these little pusher blocks that when you're opposite of the direction you want to go to, that gives you a bunch of horizontal momentum as well. Those aren't as common, but we'll still be using them quite often in the run. And another thing that I want to mention is we know there's not a lot of glitches in the run, but you are able to take advantage of what's called a half hop. Which is named after the runner Half Coordinated who found it's essentially, if you ever heard the term coyote jump in other runs, it's a grounded extra jump that allows you to keep your double jump for when you actually need to use it, so you can do some really neat movement. You can already see Rue making advantage of that as she's going through that little vertical shaft, and if you hold a neutral jump, neutral input, you can actually go really fast up those shafts. So again, this is the all bosses category, so we are required to beat the bosses as they are casually intended. So this first one, Mama Bird, is kind of a platforming tutorial based off of the stuff that we've already learned so far, and at the end of this we are able to get that first egg. So now that we have gained, we have saved the first species of bird, we can actually transform into the species. So right away, we're going to transform into this bird as we come over to this main area in Dead Mall. And so this is a puzzle you don't technically need to do right now, but since it's along the way, we're going to do it right now. There's 3 levers that you're supposed to hit to go pull these like little water geysers up, and we can skip over that with a half hop, and from there, had to kind of avoid that right there. Yeah, she took a little more damage than she wanted to. But we're able to actually skip over most of that puzzle, which saves roughly between 20 to 30 seconds. So it's kind of a really big save. So now that we're done going to that section, we are going to grab a few more feathers, and we are heading over into the next major area, which is the wastelands. And we're going to be taking advantage of a lot of our bird transformation right here, and also some of the orb launchers as well. And one of the things that you can do right here is if you do a particular setup, you can actually keep your horizontal momentum all the way through this area. Very nicely done. And that saves a lot of time than the casual way of using the bird. And she's going to be using a lot of damage boosting throughout this run. So get used to it throughout here. So as you can see right there again, going through that. And another thing that we're going to be seeing are those little save point statues right there. Those are very useful because you're able to refill your health, which allows you to figure out where you want to do your damage boost and make it much more calculated than you would normally be able to. And we're also running this on easy mode as well. So there are a couple extra heart pickups that refill your health that we're going to be taking advantage of in some of the later sections. Yeah, so the health, if you couldn't see already, is that little orb, a little bug that's flying around with Sheepo. There is a green, which means you're at 3 health, yellow for 2 health, and red at 1. And one of the things that was really cool, an accessibility thing that Kyle added into the game, was making it so it actually changed to text in case for colorblind people, which was actually really neat. And Kyle made a lot of these, coordinated with half coordinated to add a lot of these things in there. So we are in the only optional boss casually, but it is required in the run, and this is Birdbot. So Birdbot throws off a couple of attacks. One is a wave laser attack, and then a bunch of rockets that go after you. And we're throwing the little radio bug looking thing back at it. And technically, this is a pacifist run in a sense where we're not doing any physical damage ourselves to the bosses, but we're using the environment and what they throw at us to deal damage. And the really nice thing about doing this boss right now is that it gives us 5 feathers, which again, we're trying to get to 35 feathers as fast as possible to get to that first late game zone. Yeah, there's a very small chance she could take some damage right there from those little water geysers. And I didn't talk about those geysers yet, but they're very important for this kind of middle portion of the wasteland. That's going to be a big part of our platforming. And another thing that I want to mention as well is there's this thing called Fast Bird. And if you pretty much go as close to the direction as possible of the bird and like how it's facing, you're able to get some extra momentum from that. And that's going to be very useful for doing saving a couple extra seconds in some other areas of the run. And
want to explain that?
Yeah, so
I didn't go into a room for just fun.
Yeah, as much as we like, going into rooms and whatnot and showing more exploration, the reason why she dipped into that room for just a quick second is there are teleporters, which are frog statues in this game, and we'll unlock those later on in the run. But once you get into the room, that's all you need to do in order to activate the teleporter. You don't need to actually go buy the teleporter. So we're going to take advantage of that to get access to the teleporter later on when we can use that to get a feather. And so we are in our second mandatory boss, which is DEADWORM. And DEADWORM is a spine worm looking creature that comes out of the floor and ceiling. And this is the first boss where uses the 3 different phases. The first phase, it kind of just comes after you after a little bit of delay, and it doesn't do anything to the environment. But after 3 attacks, it decides, hey, I'm going to start taking away the floor from you. So there is a way that you can actually minimize by the amount of floor that's taken away by making its trajectory go in a very particular pattern. So as after a few more attacks, it's going to start going a little bit faster. Then after more attacks, it's going to transition us to the 3rd and final phase, where we're going to use those water geysers that I was talking about and get us to kind of avoid it while having a bunch of geysers on the ground. And then in kind of that pacifist sense that I was talking about, we're not going to actually finish off the boss. The boss is going to hurt itself on the spikes that are above us on the ceiling. And then with that, we are going to head over to save our 2nd species. And now we're going to be able to change into those spine worms that allow you to go underground. And what was that? Sorry?
Game audio is gone. I get the echo. Is that okay?
I don't have it currently open, but I assume if you see the fader going up in OBS,
Yeah, I fixed it in OBS.
that should work. Okay.
No problem. So we are coming quickly up onto the next boss, and this was actually found by the developer himself, and you can do a little bit of a half hop to get up into the shaft where you would normally come out of the boss fight. And if you actually double jump and hit the trigger right at the start of the room, then you can actually make the boss spawn. And this saves a lot of time because casually it is a very long-winded route to go all the way around. And this boss fight, the phases are pretty similar. The first 2 phases, just kind of throwing out these orbs that explode and go into kind of a semicircle pattern outward. And it does only 1 full rotation of the room before it shoots another one of those orbs. And then in the last one, actually we'll go for a few more extra rotations on top of that. And so
the reason why we do
yeah.
this boss too, is we're trying to skip a whole section that is actually way slower to do.
Yeah, there's a area called Upper Dead Mall. It's kind of roughly above where we went to that the water maze in the shop earlier. So we don't want to go to that area at all. And so this is a good time for a couple donations if we have any.
Absolutely. I would like to use this time to remind anyone who might have just turned in that ESA Winter 2021 is benefiting Alzheimer Fonden, which has the aim and purpose to increase fundraising to the benefit of scientific research in order to find a cure for Alzheimer's disease. We're currently sitting at $15.6k, almost at 16k, and it's absolutely incredible how far we can go towards donating for this great cause. If you're ever interested, remember that you can find multiple incentives you might want to donate for. And we also have prizes available as well, including a few ViewSonic monitors for minimum donations of $25 or $35, depending on which one. And you can find more info about that on the ESA website. So there's definitely a lot of value beyond plus the charity aspect of it that are absolutely amazing that you can do with your donations. So definitely get them in and let's reach that 16k.
Yeah, definitely. Really, honestly, for a great cause. And so we're heading back towards the beginning start of the game, and Rue has been picking up a few feathers. And again, you can just see Fastbird right there. Got a couple Fastbirds in a row, so that was really, really nice. and allow her to get up this little vertical shaft a little bit faster. But you can kind of tell the very glaring difference between getting a normal bird and getting fast bird. And again, using the launchers as much as possible. Don't worry that we just went through a wall right there. It's totally fine. For some reason, that particular wall is one that we can actually go through. No particular rhyme or reason for it. And so we're going to be using half hops to get up this whole vertical wall section right here in order to get ourselves
I noticed my eyes were blinking
feather.
when I was jumping. I was like,
Yeah. You know, I actually, I sometimes do the same thing when I get into like that long rhythm.
my head.
So we're going to be taking a bird right here and maintaining our momentum as we go back towards our spaceship area. Just right over the save point. It's totally fine.
I've been doing that lately.
Yeah. And so now, because we have the spine worm transformation, we are now entering the underbelly. And the underbelly is this whole underground area section that is going to require us to use the spine worm transformation a lot. And the spine worm kind of gravity and movement is a lot slinkier. It's not completely consistent all the time, but it gives you some really cool curvature that you're able to do some very particular puzzle movement. And we're going to take that to our advantage to go through a couple of sections in a little more optimal fashion. Yep, so as you can see right there, if you kind of jump out at that kind of angle, you're able to kind of wrap around and loop yourself around when you're out of the ground, which is really a cool mechanic. And as you can see right there, when you're in the longbird state for some reason, as opposed to the other animal-to-animal transformations and sheepo-to-animal transformations, you get a longer transformation rate, like snap radius. So we're able to actually go through that whole kind of dirt section to the bottom one, and it saves a couple seconds from going around casually. And so, as we're going through here, another thing that you're going to see are these little saw spinners. And that's going to add a little bit extra difficulty to especially one of the rooms coming up that have a couple.
Okay.
Ooh,
That was not normal.
that was fun. And another thing that you could just have noticed right there as she came out and got back into the spine worm transformation is when you actually come out of a transformation, you get your double jump refreshed. That is very useful to use at a couple different points, as you can see there. And it makes for some really neat optimal movements in a lot of these rooms, especially in the underbelly. And so that I didn't mention earlier, but that is what the frog statues right there are, the teleporters. This is actually a section where we're going to eventually get into using them. And this is one thing that Rue found is that worm skip right there. That first one is pretty easy to get for the most part, but that second one's a little more finicky. So because she saw that she was not getting a good cycle, she just went around the last one.
Yeah, so in this game, everything's like RNG cycles. The way that works is with that particular thing, it's not always consistent, but you can do not often.
Yeah, some rooms are on global cycles, but some rooms are on, like, depending on when you enter the room. So
So that room can really you can lose
each time
you don't do it right.
Yeah. There's especially that last one, and it can kind of throw you off and give you like a weird angle from coming from left to the right. So it's really good to just hit it first time while you're in the groove. And so another cool transformation thing right here is with the half hop right here, we actually can avoid a little bit of the movement going around. the casual way. So we're able to cut off a little bit of time having to go on the right side, going all the way back down. We can actually just go from the middle straight directly top. And so again, some more optimal movement. And it was kind of a big deal in that particular room, the bird, that she not take damage, so that she can go ham and just, you know, really quickly between all of these launchers right here and take some damage boost.
Sorry.
Yeah.
At least I got it at the end.
So another one of those sections where not taking damage in order to take damage is really, really important for going fast. And so now we're coming up onto the next major boss. This is the Froggo King. And the Froggo King is, on easy mode, is a little bit easier because it takes out the second main phase. The first and third phases are still there. In the first phase, it's going to start targeting you roughly based on your current position. And you just need to kind of use the birds if you want to fly around and avoid. And I don't know why she's not using any of the birds right now. She's just doing a little bit of a hop, skip, and jump. And it's gonna stop shooting here after a couple more jumps. Then it's gonna go. Attack in a 360-degree motion as well. So this boss, in the normal difficulty version of the boss, during this portion, it would be shooting out in that semicircle pattern, as you saw kind of earlier during the Slime Queen, just with more orbs on the ground. really playing with fire on that right there.
Yep.
That's totally fine. Yep.
One more hop up.
We're going to do a little cool thing right here where if you actually are above it, you can fall directly in there and not take damage. Cutscene.
Yeah, I used to take damage, but I figured it out where it's like... That's why I kind of get fun with it. Daredevil I can get. By the way, it's a cute potato chip rock.
It's a potato rock.
It's a potato rock. I said chip, huh?
Yeah. And so now that we have defeated the Froggo King, we can actually use all of the teleporters in the world. So we're going to be able to take use of that teleporter that we went back. And so now with that, we are going to go to the area where the last main boss is. That area is called Deep Woods. Deep Woods is a very forest type of area, and it's going to use this is where like the damage boosting is really super duper important, because there are a couple spots where it'll allow us to really shave off some time, but we have to be very, very careful, because some of the deaths in this area are some of the worst deaths in the whole run, because the save points are much more few and far between at this point. This is kind of that late game area of like, okay, use all that you know in order to get through the area safely. So with that same Longbird transformation, we can actually go all the way through. It saves us from going from over to the left and back right, looping around, and that saves about 7 or 8 seconds. So that is a really big time save right there. And so we're going through now this little labyrinth. And this labyrinth seems kind of difficult, but it pretty much, if you just kind of go directly down, and from the first orb you do like an upside down U shape, kind of gets you to the second orb. So it's not super duper difficult. And coming up in this next room right here is a really cool set of skips that actually was found by Rue as well. And after this first room, there are going to be some launchers, and we're going to take use of that. And based on your positioning right there on the logs, you can actually skip through and not have to worry about doing the 2 middle rooms at all. And And so you're able to pretty much just worry about going on 2 of the treadmills, which is really sweet time save. So we're going to do a few more half hops and damage boosts to get to that one right there. Refill our health. Nice, awesome. Was able to avoid the damage, so she can take a little bit of faster route through there.
I got scared.
you thought you were gonna
I thought I was gonna die. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
but this is completely not intended. You're supposed to actually go all the way to the right casually, but with using some damage boosts, we're able to kind of just go straight down that vertical shaft area with those spikes, and pretty much skip over that looping around to the right, which is way slower. And we're gonna, there's a campfire dude right there. We don't have time for that because that's story lore, and we won't want to bother with that right now.
Do you want to tell the story lore?
No, because I don't want to spoil it for people.
Oh, okay.
I found it really cool when from casually, so I don't want to spoil it. So it was nice that we got that Slime Queen boss earlier, because we're able to transform right there, and we're able to skip over the second slime. And again, we're gonna do a very specific damage boost setup where we go straight through those little spiked pushers.
Not for safety marathon. Yeah. Normally you can do this area. No.
Yeah, because there's this room, it can be kind of sketchy too. So yeah, it's safer just to get that extra refresh on the health right there.
It's sketchy because these the way that they work, it's not like a, you have to direct them out of there.
Yep, exactly. And this going this bottom route gives us a little bit of a safety save right there before this area. And we're coming up on the final of the main bosses, which is the Grapple Gang. And a really cool thing that you can do right here is if you hold the skip button while you're still in the log and you come out, you become invincible and you get a nice break. So I want to play a nice game with chat and see how many slingos are left in the background when Sheepo decides to go off screen. Yeah, the little spiky orbs in the background that are gonna fall and try to do damage to you. Yeah, exactly.
Normally you hit the log and then you start slowly go down.
This is a good time for some donations.
This will be the log.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. I do want to perhaps do one reminder regarding some of the upcoming incentives we've got. Specifically, tonight for the Halo 3 ODST run, there is a bid war for the language choice, with the choices including French, German, Italian, Korean, and Portuguese. So there's still quite a few hours left, but we're slowly getting there. So definitely get those donations in for those choices. So far, Korean is leading on the language choice, but you can make a change with those donations. So let's see how this will go.
So, by the way, if anybody in chat chose 6, you were correct for this time.
I didn't even count. I started messing up.
Left in the background.
I didn't even... I was too...
All right. So now with the final of the main bosses done, we're gonna pick up the egg right here and gain access to these slingos, and those are these little cute pig tongue creatures right here, and it allows you to essentially go onto those little yellow orbs.
Oh, don't do that. That's bad. Sorry. I need that ticket. You can...
Yeah, yeah. So now that we have 35 feathers, Brew went back to the shop after going to get that one quick feather from that teleporter we grabbed earlier. We dipped in and out of that room. And now we're going to head over to the art gallery here after grabbing one more feather. And kind of the story background of what's happening right now.
You're spoiling. You're gonna spoil. Just letting you.
Oh yeah, minor spoilers. But essentially, you're supposed to have met this art bird somewhere in the world, and wants us to go to the gallery, and before all the people get there, the art bird wants us to actually make art. Surprisingly enough, by pretty much making the shapes of the different species that we have saved so far. And we're gonna do that in kind of a connect the dots fashion. Start off with bird here. Look at that lovely bird. It's beautiful art. And then we're gonna go into the spine worm. And after we do the spine worm right here, this was a little bit of a skip that was found by another runner, Shed. And if you actually half hop right here while holding on to the button to activate the teleporter, you're able to skip the whole running back to the first room of the gallery where the FROGGO teleporter is. That saves about 15 to 20 seconds, so that's kind of a big time save. So now that we did the little slime puzzle right there, we're going to do the Slingo, which we just got right here. And you can kind of see how the mechanism of Slingo works right there. And you're able to get some really fast momentum as well. And we'll try to use that kind of going towards the final boss area right now. So we think that, you know, we got our 6th egg right now. So we're planning to go back to the spaceship and... okay, cool. We've saved all the species right now. It's time to head off back to more worlds to save more species. Teleport right back to the beginning. We're going to grab one more feather. And with that, so it's time to head off, and we're going to talk with our little walkie-talkie friend right here. But the art bird said, wait, hold on a second. That's not correct. So we're going to head back over and find out where the realistic egg. But we got 200 feathers as our cut for that art gallery right there. So now we're gonna.
That's a fake egg.
Yeah, because that's technically a fake egg. It's not
a
an
statue.
Egg. Yeah, it was a statue. Much to our chagrin. So now we're gonna head up into, this is a very early part of the game technically, which is upper landing, using the bird right there to fly all the way up.
Oh, I'm just gonna show this. I found that.
Oh yeah.
I was practicing it. I don't know what happened, but
and that boundary is apparently just not drawn there. It doesn't really do anything, but it's a funny little thing
to find out.
Yep. So in the upper landing area, we've got these little fans that are based on the color of the lever. And so we're going to use that and with combination of half hops, get through this area much more quickly. Here, we're going to head off to the left to get our last 2 feathers right here before we head to get the elevator key that's going to get us to the final boss area. So we're going to be using Slingos. So right here, we're going to be heading on this here to this wall, and head right back up to the right.
That's Slingo moving.
Yeah, it is. So now that we have 210 feathers, we're going to go right here, dropped off at this teleporter, to go back to the shop, gather the elevator key, and then head over to the final boss area. And we get to do some really sweet platforming here, up as we're heading past this upper landing area to the upper dead mall, which is, as mentioned before, is where we're supposed to head over to the Slime Queen area. So you would normally see this near the beginning of the game, but we didn't have time for that, and we got to the Slime Queen super fast. So as we're heading up to final
Elevator.
boss area, the elevator, now's a good time for a couple more happening.
Absolutely. Perhaps I would like to remind once again that we are benefiting Alzheimer Fonden, and as we're benefiting this organization, we have to remember that the World Health Organization classifies dementia as one of the world's greatest health problems, with over 47 million people affected, and it is estimated that it could triple by 2050. So, by helping organizations such as Alzheimer Fonden, we help, therefore, solving those issues all over, and every donation counts. It's amazing how far we've managed to go so far, and even a single $1 donation overall, when combined with everyone's donations, can help make a difference. So thank you, everyone.
So we are, as you saw, we are taking the elevator. There was even a nice little like elevator, lobby person, right there. Us along, and so we've been mostly using our Slingo movement right here. As you can kind of see, we can maintain our horizontal momentum if we get the right kind of angle. Ooh.
Sorry, that was
Nice save right there. That was
me getting
good.
saucy.
Now we are coming up onto the final boss, and the final boss is the Beast. And the Beast fight is going to start with a little bit of an escape sequence right here, which is kind of a culmination of all of the different platforming techniques we have learned throughout the whole game. So we're starting off with some burden orbs, then we're going to go into the spine worm, followed by some pushers. We're going to skip over a couple of these launchers because they're not required on there. We can kind of just loop around with good movement. Right here, we're gonna be don't worry about the health, able to get a health refill as we go into the actual boss fight, right? So this is kind of a bullet hell type of setup where it's gonna send off these attacks in a very curved manner. That's gonna be the first phase of this fight. Then after this first, it's and while this is going on, there's a bunch of legs coming out of the sky, trying to hit you, so that's quite nice. And then in the second phase, it's gonna do kind of a S type of shape right here. If anybody's played Undertale, there's a couple fights that use this type of pattern in them. And after this one, these feet placements have been quite fun so far. After this one, it's gonna go out in a very linear spread pattern. If you've played Cuphead, it's very similar to some of the patterns in that game. So a lot of great shout-outs in bullet hell patterns of this one. So after she dodges a bunch more of these shots, Beast is going to throw off one more orb, and we're going to redirect it back at itself. And from there, pick up the final egg. And so now we've got all 6 of the... So we're going to head back to our spaceship finally. Dr. Arper...
Time's coming up.
And time after we teleport is going to be when we talk to the walkie-talkie at the spaceship.
Right now.
And time is now.
That's Sheepo.
And that is Sheepo.
That is...
Yeah. So,
the incentive did get met. I have to wait for this to scroll. Incentive got met for any percent for this run is really cool. I'm not I play around with it. My main category is this one. But I played around with the other categories. I just got a 4 practice. Oh, but the world record's
it's insane.
Yeah. So I will do that super quick.
Yeah. Are we good to start on that?
Okay, get going.
Okay. So pretty much the whole first part of the game is pretty similar to what you saw before. But one of the things that we're gonna do is we're gonna skip over all the feathers this time, because as we talked about before, half hopping is the exploit that we use the most in the run, and that is going to be super duper important for the any percent run. Yeah, so as she's doing this first part of the run, which is pretty similar to what you saw in the last run, I want to give some shout outs to just kind of the overall community. There's, we've been able to show off this game a lot of marathons, and we've been getting a lot of new people that have been joining, which has been really awesome. Have some stuff on Speedrun.com. We have a Discord as well where there's always talks of how to, learn the game. We're updating our strats. There's a couple categories. So there's any percent. There's one called 6 real legs, which does some of the boss fights, but it's able to skip over a few of them that are really, really slow. And there's 105%, because in this game, when you complete the 100%, and then you go back to the end of the game and you're able to unlock a portion that allows you to do 5 more percent. That is the true kind of full completion of the game.
And want to give shout outs to ISA for having us.
Right, so now that we're getting back to where the first fight of the game is supposed to be in Mama Bird, we're actually going to be doing something a little bit different. Normally, we'd want to fight the boss, but we're actually going to half up all the way along this wall to skip over the trigger, so we don't have to watch the cutscene, or we don't have to touch the lever either to boss, so it saves us a little bit of time to do that.
Not even gonna bother.
Yeah, so
Switch.
we just need to get here to get the bird transformation, and this bird transformation ends up being extremely... Also, another really neat thing, normally you just slide down at a normal, like, kind of sliding velocity, but if you actually hold down while you're on a wall, you go at normal falling velocity. So didn't mention that during the all bosses run because there's not a lot of like long vertical shafts where we're using that in there, but that's one of the best uses of it right there because we have to stay on the left hand side of the triggers. Boss.
Sorry.
You got,
I like it when I get a fast bird. On the inside.
Go. So now we're gonna do those same damage boosts that we did kind of start of the game. And we're going to... So now that we've got this bird right here, we're going to take that to go all the way back towards the start of the game. And we're going to take this bird right here. And this bird, when Kyle developed the game, he put this really very large, like, vertical shaft area. And... never thinking that you'd have to use that. That was really close though. You can actually refresh your double jump right there with the screen transition, but we can actually go up this long vertical shaft right here, which is where we fell, where you normally fall to finish the game. And we're gonna get right back up to where we talk to the artist bird, and this is technically the only trigger that the game sees in order to say, okay, yeah, you've completed the game, you're good to go. So it thinks that we have all the eggs, and so we're just gonna fall down right here, right back to the spaceship, and time is right now for any percent.
That's any percent.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I got a PB. That is a PB.
Yeah.
Oh,
really,
even better
really
then.
Good.
Yeah.
Better then. All right, before we move on, do you have any final words you'd like to say? Any quick final words?
Yeah, thanks again. Community is really great. We welcome everyone to come in. I love this organization. I love everybody in speedrunning. But if you ever have any questions, it's always fun to just join the community and always ask us. But also, like, it's a very collaborative community. I want to thank Trojan for doing the commentary. I appreciate him talking for me. I'm a big introvert, so.
And it's also a very movement intensive run, so it's really important for her to like focus on a lot of the movement in there. And you know, honestly, on top of like just the collaborative community, it's just a great casual game. Pick up. It's, you know, takes just a few hours to beat, and it's a really cute, fun game.
Yeah.
If you like indie games.
And
so
shout out to all my friends.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right. Thank you so much for this run. I think everybody enjoyed it. So, now, get hyped everyone. Very soon, right after this short intermission, we'll be moving on to Tomb Raider Legend by Sinidro. So, chill back, relax, and get ready for this run right after this short intermission. Thank you everyone.